You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
All right, so we are doing something this morning on the show, especially in this half hour. We want to give you an update on a few stories that we have focused on the show over the last couple of weeks. And this is just us keeping tabs and making sure that the stories are not lost. Because sometimes we speak to these people and then they make certain promises and commitments only for that not to happen. And then we forget about it. We move on to other things because South Africa is moving so quickly. So what we are doing now, and we've done this even last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago on this show, is we just dedicate some time and we give you an update on a number of stories. In fact, let me encourage you to also send us emails, right? If there are certain stories that you need an update on that maybe we've forgotten about or we haven't touched on, why don't you send me an email on cm@702.co.za. So that's cm@702.co.za. So every time we do this, it's not always that we're going to have people willing to come and talk to us for whatever reason, either because they know that they have not done what they promised or because they're embarrassed because what they promised didn't happen. It could be anything, really. So some of them will give us written responses, and I always tell the producers, ask for written responses, right? So that even if they can't come on air, we're able to update our listeners about that particular issue. So we're going to start with a story about Roman Cabanac. Do you remember Roman Cabanac? So Roman Cabanac is the chief of staff for John Steenhuisen in the agriculture department. John Steenhuisen appointed Roman Cabanac as the chief of staff. This is the man who thinks liberal parties can be black-led. This is a man who called black people Bantu people. And you have to understand Bantu people from how it was used during apartheid. It was an apartheid reference to us as black people. It's a word that was weaponized by racists during the apartheid regime. This is a man, Roman Cabanac, who said a gay singer, Freddie Mercury, died because of being gay. This is a man who's previously questioned or denied the veracity of the Sharpeville massacre. John Steenhuisen went ahead and defended him until there was way too much pressure for him to ignore. And I remember saying he made his bed, he must lay on it. So Roman Cabanac has actually been refusing, I think, to go. And he's been wanting to have negotiations. My understanding is that he, at some point, there were even reports that he wanted to be paid a lump sum before he leaves. He just doesn't want to leave. Now, John Steenhuisen has already admitted that it was wrong. It was a mistake to appoint that man as the chief of staff. In fact, in September last year, John Steenhuisen told a packed crowd in Cape Town that he had asked his chief of staff, Roman Cabanac, to resign after that furore over Cabanac's comments about everything from Russia to our country's leaders and homosexuality, etc., etc. And let me remind you, in fact, of what John Steenhuisen said then.
Mr. Cabanac's not a member of my party, so even then he wouldn't have qualified for cadre deployment. But I have had a conversation with Mr. Cabanac over the course of the last few days, and I'm happy to admit we don't always get it right. We never will. You know, people make mistakes. People don't always get it right. And I think you should be judged on what you do when that mistake has been made, it's been pointed out to you, and what you do thereafter. And so there has been a conversation with Mr. Cabanac. There is a human resources discussion that's underway, and frankly, I found it far too distracting from the work of my ministry and our government that he is the news story rather than the work of the department, and I have asked him, therefore, whether he would consider stepping aside in order for us to continue and move forward.
So people are clapping there because they thought, oh, there's a leader who takes accountability, is able to admit when he's done wrong and will take corrective measures. Well, guess what? Robin Cabanac is still the chief of staff for John Steenhuisen. And this is precisely the reason why it's important to go back to some of these stories and check, yo, you said this. What's happening with that? Robin Cabanac, this was in September last year. Robin Cabanac is still the chief of staff. So the producers approached the head of communication at the Department of Agriculture and asked about Robin Cabanac and explained that we're doing a feature on the show where we want to update our listeners about some of the stories that we've covered. And here's the response from the Department of Agriculture. The head of comms responded with this, and I quote, You all know the chief of staff is Robin Cabanac. You all know means all of you know. If you don't know the young people's language, you all know the chief of staff is Robin Cabanac. That's the sentence that we got from the head of communications in the Department of Agriculture. So disappointing, because it doesn't even appreciate the very purpose for our request for them to come on the show to explain. Right? Linda Page is the chief director for strategic communication. That's the response we got from Linda. What do you think of that? What do you think is at play here? Were we lied to about Robin Cabanac? I don't think we were. Was John Steenhuisen genuine when he said, I've asked him to consider leaving? Which, by the way, why is he being asked to consider leaving? If you think you made a mistake in appointing him, you tell him, hey, brother, please leave. And of course, there are HR matters that make it complicated. But can you show an urge? Can you show an interest as a leader to also say leave? So I'm not sure where you stand on this one. He is still there. He's still the chief of staff, despite in September last year, John Steenhuisen saying, we're going to look at this. I've asked him to consider leaving. It was a mistake. What do you think of that? You can give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. It's 16 minutes now after 10 o'clock. We'll look at another story when we return.
You're listening to the Station of the Year
at the 2024 Telkom Radio Awards.
And the winner is
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Another story when we return.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 19 minutes after 10.
Morning 702, Clement, Tarnia, Randburg. Obviously, there's legal issues regarding this issue about leaving. And are you implying that Steenhuisen was lying? I don't think he was lying. I think it's just legal issues that they have to sift through. I don't think it's that easy. So I think that's where I fall on this.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier, I don't think he was lying. I said that. I don't think he was lying. I do think he was genuine, but I'm beginning to question whether he really was passionate and interested in sorting it out. Huh? Because why must we constantly also be the ones that are checking with the department? I don't remember the Department of Agriculture just out of nowhere releasing a statement and saying, hey guys, here's an update on Roman. There's a discussion that he's having with the HR department and we'll take it from there. I don't remember that. And for the head of comms to respond like that and not even give us context of the matter is settled or the matter is still being held up by legal bottlenecks. Not even that. None whatsoever. And I'm saying that attitude makes me question here what the intention was when John Steenhuisen made that statement in September. Because he's still working with the guy.
Good morning, Clement and the team. It's Yabele here from Ivory Park. The thing is with this whole John Steenhuisen and his chief of staff, John Steenhuisen knew that there's so much that happens in this country that we will get lost in the tabloids. Well, I guess right now we're getting lost in the tweets. He just knew that this will blow over. Some other bigger story will come out eventually. So I'm not shocked that he's still part of his cabinet. I am seriously not shocked at that.
Yeah, which is why, guys, we have to continuously put pressure. So politicians are always going to think things are going to blow off, right? They're thinking, now don't worry about them now. The media people, they're obsessed with what Trump has said now. You're obsessed with AfriForum. Yeah, relax. No. You and I, our job is to hold the executive accountable. So we must remember to put the pressure. When you see John Steenhuisen next time, yes, talk about other issues, but also ask, what happened to that man? Because they're hoping that we forget. Well, it's not going to happen.
Morning, Clement. Great show as always. First of all, congratulations on this approach of revisiting these stories. With regards to this thing, the DA leader and his chief of staff, I'm glad he was bold enough to say we can charge him about what he does when an issue is flagged. The fact that he's done nothing, or rather he's swept it under the carpet, exposes him even further, or he's a leader that cannot be trusted.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
All right, it's 23 minutes now after 10 o'clock. Another story that we want to give you an update on is around the MK party in Mpumalanga. You know about the reports of divisions in the leadership of the MK party in that province. There were 2 events that were hosted, separate rallies this weekend of the MK party. Busisiwe Mkhwebane is seen as the legitimate leader of the MK party by Jacob Zuma, Floyd Shivambu in the leadership of the MK party. She replaced Mary Padi, who is the MK party convener. In fact, she won a court case against the MK party last year. So she's still the legitimate convener of the MK party. That's what she argues, even though Busisiwe Mkhwebane says that's not true. She is the leader. Now, Busisiwe Mkhwebane held a rally or an event of sorts. Mary Padi also held a rally. I tweeted a video. Go check it out on my timeline on Twitter. I tweeted a video of Mary Padi's event. And it looks like that event had more supporters and MK members than the event Busisiwe Mkhwebane held in looks like a community hall or something. And I wonder what that tells you about what's happening on the ground in Mpumalanga, in as far as MK party supporters are concerned. So we've brought in Mary Padi to speak to us. She is the Mpumalanga MK party convener, and maybe what we can do is also get Busisiwe Mkhwebane later on to tell us about her own event that was carried out. Mary, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement, and the listeners of 702.
So when you told me last week, because you were on the show, and you said there's a rally coming up, and you said, you're expecting lots of people, I'll be honest, I thought, you're taking chances, utatama chance. And then I saw videos of the event that you held on the same weekend with Busisiwe Mkhwebane's event, and the numbers don't lie. What happened?
Look, the reality of the matter is that the members of Umkhonto weSizwe who took the response of the president, Jacob Zuma, when he said he's going to vote for Umkhonto weSizwe, and they started joining in December 2023. Those are the members that decided to say, let's engage, let's talk, let's take back the Umkhonto weSizwe the way it was. And those are the people that were there. And when you talk members of Umkhonto weSizwe, the people that is taking the province to number 2, and they've made Umkhonto weSizwe to be an official opposition in the legislature. So those are the people that were there. Besides the community members that walked in, we don't know where they were coming from, but we are humbled to see the response of cadres who are saying Umkhonto weSizwe is alive in the province.
What this means, at least to me, Mary, is that the MK party is divided in half in that province. You've got people who were with Busisiwe Mkhwebane in that rally or that meeting. You've got people who were with you. Are you not scared that those supporters there's going to be action taken against them because they somehow associated themselves with you?
Unless I'm not human. Unless maybe if then MK party says I don't exist, But if I recall very well that the spokesperson did speak on newsroom, I repeat, like I told you last week, he did say that I'm a member of Mkhonto weSizwe. And again, it is very clear that whatever that Bushiso Mkhobane is doing is going to affect the law. And I would just leave it like that, because she will be arrested. And indeed, it is something that she must think about, and it is something that
arrested for what?
Very serious. She's in contempt of court. You cannot call yourself a convener. She is going out on video to say, I'm a convener. And I don't do that. I'm saying I'm a leader in my own right in Mkhonto weSizwe. And remember, if you are saying that Bushiso Mkhobane is a convener, Mary Padi is a convener, I'm still a party leader. I'm leading a constituency, and the people that were there is a constituency of MK that has voted people to go into the legislature.
So, what does this mean for the future of the MK party in Mpumalanga, Mary? Because, I mean, at some point, you guys have got to figure it out. I mean, you can't have two groups existing and two groups appreciating and acknowledging different leaders. What mandate did you get from this rally that you hosted? Are people saying we will back Busisiwe? Are people saying we'll continue to exist and appeal to Jacob Zuma to hear us? What's the future plan?
Look, the bottom line is that there is no Busisiwe Mkhobane, and we need to appreciate that. It is just unfortunate that I was having an interview with you, and I gave out the date. And the date for the welcoming of the former mayor was supposed to be last week on the 8th. But when they realized that there's an event, they did an event the same date as
they changed their dates to clash with yours.
Exactly. And it is just unfortunate that we need to be having true leaders, because she has held meetings previously, and I've never had meetings knowing very well that I'm the legitimate convener of the province. But I did not do that. I respected Mkhonto weSizwe. So I will continue to respect Mkhonto weSizwe, and I am appealing that whoever that is claiming to be a leader in Mkhonto weSizwe must do as such. Let's respect each other in the space, and if need be, then one will have to take action against the people that are not willing to hear what the law says.
Okay, but Mary, let's be honest here. I mean, if you were the legitimate leader, Floyd would be there, or you would be legitimized by the leadership of the MK party, and they don't recognize you. They recognize Advocate Mkhobane.
Look, who said that? You know, they were not invited. So the masses of Mkhonto weSizwe said, we are calling upon the convener of the province to come and talk to us.
Okay.
Firstly, Clement, we didn't get an opportunity to thank the voters. We didn't appreciate the party agents since last year after we've won the elections. And number three is that if you are calling the national to come here, whereas matters are not resolved. Remember, the SG said, he presented himself, it's on TV. He said, there is no detachment. So there's no Busisiwe in the detachment in the province. So now, why should they come in the province? Because the province is saying, until you then put in the detachment, then we'll invite you. So the province invited me to say, come and talk to us after the court case, and I've met with them, and they mobilized themselves, and then they came, and then I supported them because at the end of the day, we cannot afford to lose those people. I don't know how many were there. Yeah.
All right. So how many people do you think were there at your rally?
I think there were few.
At your rally.
I don't know. I don't know the number of the people that were there, but all that I can tell you that the head count was above the expected number.
Okay, Mary Padi, MK Mpumalanga, former convener / current convener, depending on who you're listening to. Thank you so much.
With Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
It's 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's just quickly wrap up what we started just after the news at 10 o'clock around an update on some of the stories we've covered over the last couple of weeks. Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane is the MK Party's Mpumalanga convener joining us on the line. Advocate Mkhwebane, thank you for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good morning to your listeners.
I'm good. So you held a rally this weekend in Mpumalanga. Mary Paddy, who is the former convener according to the leadership, also held a rally. There seemed to be a lot of people that were also at her rally. What does that communicate to you as the leader of the MK Party in that province? Because it looks like you've got people on the ground who, one, acknowledge you as leader, but many others who still acknowledge Mary Paddy as leader.
Thank you for, I would say, just calling me this morning. I didn't realize that you are interviewing Miss Paddy, but thank you, Clement, and to the listeners of 702. It was not a rally which we held on the 15th of February. It was welcoming new members, new recruits from other political parties. So that was held in Nkomazi, Ward 15, and we were welcoming the former mayor, Nkomazi, Johan Mkhatshwa. So that was the purpose of our visit in Nkomazi. The event, which was held forecast by the former convener, who is currently on suspension because she has been served with a letter of suspension, was a different event, which as the provincial detachment we were not involved in, and we even informed the members that if anything happens, we distance ourselves to that event. But at any rate, it was for Umkhonto Wesizwe, and members who attended, they're still promoting Umkhonto Wesizwe, and that's what I would say.
Okay, so there won't be action taken against them?
There won't be against those members who attended. No, they don't know what's happening. They are confused. I think the main thing is for this. I think if you can just engage the Secretary General and the National Organizer about the behavior and the conduct of Ms. Paddy, because that's what should be happening. Remember myself as well, being the provincial convener who was appointed by the President, and even the current detachment has been appointed by the President. There was a media statement by the spokesperson of the party announcing all those individuals. And the only thing the Secretary General must still come to Mpumalanga is then to also announce the regional detachment, which process has been done, and they have been identified. Yes. So we wouldn't go with charging everyone. I mean, those people are MK members. They are misled by those who are in leadership. We can only identify those few and engage with them as the province, because those are still members of MKP, and see how we are also dealing with that. But I think at the end of the day, Clement, the work of the organization is going ahead, and we will be having a media briefing on Wednesday, where we will unpack all this and also the investigation which we are doing on who is involved in all this confusion which is created, and the issue of the speaker of the provincial legislature, who's refusing with the resources of the organization and the progress in the criminal case which has been opened on the misappropriation of funds.
All right, got it. Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, thank you so much for that. So no action is going to be taken against those who sided with Mary Paddy this weekend. 7:02. We're going to conclude a conversation we started in the previous half hour, just before we get into our Family Matters feature. And we got 2 calls earlier on. Some had comments, some were just inputs and questions, Mark. So I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that. If you've just joined us, we've been talking to Max Tibela, who is the CEO there at the Culture, Arts, Tourism, Hospitality and Sports Sector Education and Training Authority. This is part of our series on SETAs that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. We've been hosting a number of CEOs of SETAs to talk more about their mandates, how they are trying to help deal with the skills deficit, what kind of opportunities they are presenting, particularly to young people, in order to help with our economic growth, to help with job creation and skills development. So, Max, you can respond to those 2 calls that we got earlier on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manyathela. Let me start with the lady from Tembisa who talked about the program that she participated in. We really appreciate the feedback, ma'am. She was participating in the SMME development program where we took, about 15 entrepreneurs in Gauteng, the various districts, and in partnership with Gauteng Tourism Authority and Gauteng Enterprise Propeller. So as SETA entered into agreement with Delicious Festival Trade Academy to put them into a mentorship, a program where they are learning skills of really doing their business. And it is really encouraging to hear the feedback that she's giving, that, they have learned a lot from the program. We haven't finished, ma'am. We will be moving to a phase of mentorship in the coming months. We're still just finalizing in terms of, how to assist you further as a small business so that you can thrive and develop. So then just watch this space. But regarding the IP issue, you cannot use our logo because it's an intellectual property. So you can make reference to having been trained by CAPSETA. Anyway, you will also get a certificate that has our logo when the academy that was conducting training, the Johannesburg culinary school, issues out the certificates. Then, Noma Gugu, you are talking about courses. What I can indicate, Mr. Manyathela, is that in June last year, the former Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation signed a proclamation that deals with what we call the pre-2009 legacy qualifications. So we are migrating now to what we call occupation-directed qualifications, whereby we bring in the industry and all stakeholders to say, come tell us what qualifications do you need for this sector and various subsectors. We are not the people who develop qualifications. We facilitate the process. We work with the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations. So whatever the stakeholders are saying, these are the qualifications we need, we will take that process further, facilitate everything, the engagements, present the drafts to the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations. That's our role to do so. So we are also encouraged to hear that, the grant funding that we have allocated to yourselves and other small organizations is really making a dent in the communities. And we advise that go to our website, visit our website. We have an open window, what you call unsolicited funding, whereby at any time up until mid-March, we are really allocating funding. There's forms there that you can complete to indicate what kind of programs you would like to be funded on. So because that is our mandate to really ensure that skills development is facilitated within the country. And if I can just conclude on this, Mr. Manyathela, it just shows that indeed the performance that we have recorded as a SETA in the past 2 years of over 90% is not by fluke. It's really meaning that we are working very hard. The team that I work with is really, working very hard and knowledgeable. And that really gives one courage to really work tirelessly to ensure that this SETA is a success.
Just the last 2 quick questions, Max. Lindy wants to know that, Clement, please can you ask the CEO what the requirement is for companies who are below the threshold that he mentioned, who want to apply for assistance if they want to offer internships or the transfer of skills to potential candidates? That's the first question. The second question is from Loazi, who says, Clement, may the CEO there also maybe help us understand how much bursaries have been given out just in the past year. The hospitality sector is really dry on the bursaries front. What is the SETA doing? The learner portal on the SETA website has not been functioning for years. Is this because they do not deal with learners directly? Why has the portal on the site then Why is there a portal on the site then if they're not dealing directly with the students? Max?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The first question, we have a 60-40 arrangement in terms of discretionary grants. 60% goes to those who are paying us levies. 40% goes to the non-levy payers. So the lady who just called, you are welcome to apply, ma'am. We are funding everyone. We are not discriminating. So, but we need to just skew the picture to those who are paying to encourage them to continue paying levies. So look out at adverts that we normally place in newspapers. And as I said, there's also an opportunity of the unsolicited window that is currently open. The discretionary grant one opens normally in November and close end of January. That one is passed. Then the issue of bursaries, as I indicated, we are not directly allocating bursaries. We work through universities. So, and we fund skills or courses that are related to each of or any of the 6 subsectors within, our organization. So you can visit your student financial aid office. You will get the relevant information, whether you are in a university or University of Technology or TVET college. You will definitely get that info. The learner portal, we have developed a new learner portal. It's up and running. But as I indicated, because we are not funding the learners directly, although the portal is open for those who want to put in their details, we will still work through employers, but they are welcome to really capture their details on the learner portal. Thank you.
All right. Max Tibela, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming through on the show. He's the CEO of the Culture, Arts, Tourism, Hospitality and Sports Sector Education and Training Authority and sports psychologist.